I mean, you've said that you didn't enjoy your time in TNA at all, but is perhaps Garrett being there one of the bright spots?
Yeah, and I know I've often said that, or I've said things close enough to it that it gets written that way,
Yeah,
and that's my mistake. Let me be clear here on your show, though.
sure.
There's a lot of, I hate to call it resentment, but I can't think of a better word on my part towards TNA, not the people. Well, yeah, kind of the people. Just because of the missed opportunity. There was a moment in time while I was there that, in my opinion, the TNA that was TNA at that time could have done what Bellator did, what Scott Coker, who's a friend of mine, I've known him since he was 10, what Scott Coker and Bellator was able to do with Viacom. Viacom was in the mood. They were hungry. They had learned a lesson with the UFC, and they no longer wanted to be in the business of building other people's brands. They wanted to own, not all of it, but they wanted to own a part of it. And I was a big advocate for that. And it met with all kinds of ridiculous resistance. That's my resentment. Not because it wouldn't have mattered to me. Well, I wouldn't have made any more money. It wasn't going to put money in my pocket, but it was that golden opportunity, and they come around so rarely that you hate to see somebody fuck it up.
Yeah.
Now, that aside, I had a lot of fun in TNA. Of course, working with my son Garrett was the highlight of all that. But, Hulk Hogan's my best friend. Working with Hulk, working with Ric Flair again, working with Sting again. I got to work with Mick Foley in TNA. I got to work with Kurt Angle. I got to work with Jeff Jarrett. I got to work with a lot of really good people. AJ Styles I got to work with. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And made a lot of friends there. Well, maybe not a lot, maybe just a handful. But hey, they're friends. Who cares? You don't count them, you just appreciate them.
But when you list off all those people, it's so crazy to me that that TNA could never compete with WWE.
Crazy. And that's part of my about TNA. It's not even resentment. It's just is they had all the elements. What they didn't have is vision and commitment from management, from their funding partner.
What do you think about people that say that AEW is making some of those same mistakes that TNA did? Bringing in people that had just left WWE or bringing in legends who haven't wrestled in a while.
That's so stupid. I mean, it's so ignorant. And when I say ignorant, I don't mean that as a derisive term. I mean it in the literal sense of the word, the definition of the word. People that say those kind of things have no real firsthand knowledge or experience. They have theoretical knowledge based on their fandom and their tangential connection to the industry because they watch about it and talk about it, in some cases write about it. But they don't really know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
What AEW is doing is, it's by no means groundbreaking. They're not inventing an idea here, but they're smart. Bringing in former WWE talent with international, not just domestic US, but international brand equity and face recognition and a fan base.
Yeah.
What is wrong with that? That's silly. Now, if you have to rely solely on that, then I can see the argument. If AEW is bringing in legends, Sting, for example, the most recent one, Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, these are people that all still have an important presence on camera. Are they old? Hell yeah. They're as old as I am. A couple of them, one of them at least older. But they have value. The wrestling audience is not one, demo. It's not 18 to 34-year-old men. It's not 18 to 49-year-old men. It's much broader than that.
Yeah.
It's also family viewing, and I think if people today, if they knew that or understood the challenge of building a television product in prime time on a large cable outlet like TNT or USA, or, well, let's talk about cable. You have to appeal to a wide variety of people. You can't just focus on one demo. you can't just bring in a bunch of young, fresh talent. That's what everybody says. Oh, young, fresh talent. Well, these are young, fresh talent that nobody knows or cares about. That's the truth. When you're breaking in, when you're a year, 2 years, 4 years, 5 years in the business on the independent scene, and nobody's really knows who you are on a national television scale, you're green. You have to build that audience and that relationship with that audience. And what AEW is doing by bringing in the legends and former WWE talent is bringing in equity in the case of former WWE talent and scratching the itch of that nostalgia component that makes wrestling work so well.
Right.
But they're also bringing in a lot of young, fresh, exciting talent, and they're doing it simultaneously. They're not bringing in these WWE talent and legends, if you will, at the expense of young talent. They're doing it in addition to young talent.
Right.
And I think it's exactly the way it should be done.